Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye. This is going to be a good one. Let's get to the intro. Welcome back to Gunners Collective TV. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate the support. I'm very humbled by it. So I told you so. I told you so, right? If you go back about 6-7 videos, because you know I drop videos all the time. I did a Tory Lanez video when he first got stabbed, when he first was assaulted, and I was asked a question. The question I was asked, what's going to happen? Where's he going to go after this? And I distinctly remember me saying, oh, they're going to ship his ass to a soft-ass prison yard, either Mule Creek or he's going to go to CMC. Now, guess what? He's over there in CMC pushing wheelchairs around with his boy from That 70s Show, Danny Masterson. Okay, I told you guys, you know, it's crazy because it was like I knew. I just knew, man. That seems to be the yard now where they're sending people that get assaulted. You know, if you get fucked up on a regular SNY yard, they'll shoot you to the soft yard, the pillow yard, Charmin yard. Okay, that is a pillow yard. It's always been a pillow yard. They've always had unusual suspects there. They've always had people there in that facility that, you know, needed guidance. They needed help. They needed a secure situation. You know, when Danny Masterson got assaulted in Corcoran prison, they immediately put him in administrative segregation, the hole. Then they shipped his ass to CMC. Now, that is the same thing they've done for Tory Lanez. And it was expected. I called it, man. But it wasn't a hard thing to foresee, you know. That's what they do in the California prison system. You know, usually on them SNY yards, if you get assaulted or they feel you're a threat to the safety and security of the institution, or there's a threat to you, or they just want to get rid of the problem, they're going to ship you to another institution. They're going to send you to another prison to start all over again. In this case, because Tory Lanez is a star, because Tory Lanez got stabbed as viciously, and I just seen the video, man. The video was leaked. I seen it on Instagram yesterday of the assault happening, and it pretty much lines up exactly as far as the assault with what Santino Casio said. You know, when he was interviewed by TMZ, he explained that Tory Lanez went to his cell and stood in front of his cell, and then he just started stabbing Tory Lanez. That's exactly what you see. You see him stabbing him. You do hear Tory Lanez screaming for help over and over again as he's being assaulted, ragdolled, and stabbed. It's pretty much facts. I hate to say that Chumbo was telling the truth, but he definitely was telling the truth on how it went down. As far as the reasoning behind it, I don't know. Still someone tried to argue with me in the comments and say, no, it was over a cell phone. It was over this. Look, motherfucker, you weren't using the cell phone, so we don't know. Right? One thing I do know for sure, he got picked up, dumped on his head a few times, and stabbed like Michael Myers was trying to have a good time. It was like the newest Michael Myers movie. It was pretty bad. You see Tory Lanez getting hit, bad situation, and he's screaming. He literally stabs him up out his shirt, and he runs down the tier. So where the position of the cell was, guy was in, I think, the last cell on the tier on the top, second tier. Maybe I was the last cell or the second to the last cell. And Tory Lanez goes and stands in front of his cell. They're having a conversation, and for whatever reason, that dude just comes out booking. Tory Lanez tries to fall back. Dude pushes him down, slams him, and just goes to town. Anyways, Tory Lanez was shipped out to the yard with Danny Masterson. Now, for those of you that don't know, Danny Masterson was pretty popular last year. He was all over the place, and that's because he got convicted of the Great Case, right? When he was doing the women, the Scientology thing came up. All that bullshit. And if you guys recall, Danny Masterson actually landed in Corcoran prison. Upon getting to Corcoran, He gets to the yard and some dropout gang members, the white guys, the brothers by choice, day 1 or day 2, they caught Danny Masterson slipping, try to pull his hair, try to get with this program. He was able to fucking facilitate a run all, right? He ran, got away from that. And immediately they put him in protective custody in the hole and shipped him to the softest yard they could find, which is, of course, CMC. Now, it's men's colony prison. It's in San Luis Obispo, I believe. Now, let me explain something to you about the yard he's in. They take, it's considered an old man yard, right? So they take a lot of the inmates or prisoners that are ailing. They're old. They have pre-existing conditions. They're sick. You know, they're not into the gangs. They're not into the violence. They can't really hold their own on different yards because they're not able to. They're old now. You know, a lot of them are in wheelchairs. There's a lot. The yard that Tory Lanez and Danny Masterson are on, there is a lot of trash, meaning there's a lot of guys in there for weird charges. Now, that don't mean nothing. As you can see, Santino Casio had a weird charge, and he pulled that knife out quick. So just because someone has a bad charge or someone is not an active gang member anymore or someone, whatever spin these motherfuckers like to put on it, doesn't mean they won't get with your program. They'll get with your whole program, right? Just like they did to Tory Lanez. So when Danny Masterson was shipped there, there was a reasoning behind it. Okay? And let's look at it. Danny Masterson leaves reception, goes to Corcoran prison. He's assaulted. Next stop, CMC. Tory Lanez goes to reception, lands in Tehachapi, gets assaulted. Next stop, CMC. There's an individual that I know on YouTube, went to reception. Next stop, CMC. Now, don't get it twisted. There are 2 different yards in CMC. There is a general population yard, or it used to be. I don't know if it is now, if it's considered a 50-50. I don't know because I've never been to CMC. But I do know that there's a good yard and there's a despicable yard. They call it the Despicable Me yard. Tory Lanez and Danny Masterson are walking around bosom buddies, perfect strangers, Balki Bartakumus on the SNY no good yard. Does it mean anything? Does it mean assaults and things don't happen? No, it's prison. Anything can happen any given time. That's what prison is all about, especially in the state of California. But ain't nothing going to happen. These guys are safe now. Now, Cain Velasquez is on an integrated yard, a non-conforming yard, meaning a programming yard. If he was to be assaulted, I guarantee you his next stop would be, say it with me, CMC. Okay? Doubt that's going to happen. Doubt anyone's going to run up on him. Everyone that's running up on Cain Velasquez wants to give him a hug or wants to try to recruit him into their prison gang, right? There ain't no one fucking with him. I don't see him getting assaulted. I see him doing his time and then getting the fuck on down the road. You know, there's a different element of man when it comes to Cain Velasquez. There's he'll break your fucking bone, mans, right? Now, that's Captain Caveman. Now, Tory Lanez is going to be safe. For those that are worried and concerned with Tory Lanez's safety, what happened in Tehachapi will not follow him. There's not going to be no prison gang members over there that are homeboys with Santino that are going to, try to book Tory Lanez when he got there. Because, look, someone had to tell the story. Obviously, Santino told the whole story. Is that considered snitching? Well, in prison, you're not supposed to say nothing, right? In prison, if you get stabbed, if you're the victim or you're the victimizer, you're not supposed to say nothing. Now, I know you say, well, if you're the one that's doing it, it doesn't matter. It's not telling on yourself. It is. It is. You know, you cannot tell anything that happened. But of course, on an SNY yard, on that type of yard, them dudes will say whatever they feel like saying. No one's going to hold them accountable. No one cares. You know, it's crazy. Will that mean that Tory Lanez said something? Well, until someone actually looks at the report. So what's going to happen is this. Once he stabbed him, there was a 115 that was issued. Basically, the cops are going to tell you everything. And they got it on camera. It was recorded. Someone had a cell phone. Someone recorded it. It's funny, huh? How they always get these things recorded. It's like motherfuckers knew the assault was going to go down. How did that particular person have his phone out pointed directly at Tory Lanez going to old boy's cell and then getting stabbed? Was there someone that just like he had paparazzi? They were just following Tory Lanez around with the phone the whole time? I don't know. It's a trip, but that's the way it went down, right? That's the thing about cell phones now. Even in prison, when there's a fight or an assault, everyone's quick to pull them out. You can't get away from this shit. You can't get away from this shit, man. You think you're in the cuts, you're not. Someone is recording you. Anyway, so that footage was released yesterday, and I seen it. I think DJ Academics released the footage. Someone fucking sent it to him or whatever he paid or however he got it. But, you know, it's too violent to show on YouTube. I do have it downloaded. I cannot show it on YouTube. Not at all. It's very violent. You know, I'll say this. Tory Lanez was screaming for dear life. He definitely was in trouble. And so now he's over there with Danny Masterson. What has Danny Masterson been doing, you ask yourself, this whole time? Well, everything I said he was going to do. He's walking around, programming, doing his time, pushing old men around in wheelchairs. They all get those little jobs. You know, you get a celly that's an old man in a wheelchair. You got to push him, take him to pill call, make sure he takes his medication. You know, that's his life. That's Danny Masterson's life. There's no more Mila Kunis. No. She's getting boned somewhere in a Hollywood set by Diddy and all his friends in baby oil. There is no more, you know, lobster and steak and none of that. No, you're in prison. You're going to get cat food and green bologna. That's what it is. Now, they're in a safe facility, though. Nothing's going to happen to Danny Masterson or Tory Lanez. You know, one guy asked me, he was like, hey, bro, Tory Lanez, you think the Mexicans are going to trip on him over there? The Mexicans ain't even going to trip on no one over there. It was never a black and brown thing. It was two individuals that happened to be of different cultures and ethnicities that got into it in prison. That's how it goes down on SNYR. See, let me tell you. Let me give you the game. Let me give you some knowledge you can't get in college. You ready? If you're in the general population, which is considered GP, in the California prison system, yes, there are racial lines drawn in the sand. Yes, there are gang lines drawn in the sand. Meaning, if you're a brother, you're black, right? I don't even like to call blacks black because there's some brown motherfuckers, right? And I fuck with them. So you're a brown brother, right? Of a black persuasion. And you go to the California prison system, depending upon who you are, you have groups in there. If you're of the Muslim faith, you're going to go with the Muslim brothers. If you're a Crip, there you go, cuz, over there. If you're a blood, Paru, you're going to be over there. Kumis, which is the Bay Area 415s, there you go. And then there's non-affiliate blacks. Blacks that are not gang members. You know what I'm saying? Blacks that just, they're brothers, man, that, you know, they hung out, they associated, or they just are regular dudes that get locked up. They have their own car too. Now, all brothers function on the same side of the yard. The brothers are separated from the whites and the Southsiders. The brothers are on the same side of the yard with Northerners and others, meaning Usos, Asians, Filipinos, Guamanians, all that. They all function on one side of the yard, and the whites, the natives, the paisas, and the Southsiders are on the other side of the yard. It's funny because people are like, oh, the Southsiders, man, they function with the whites. That means they're racial. Man, paisas are over there. Natives are over there. It's just the way the prison has always been. It's the way they want it, right? Doesn't mean someone's racial. Just means what it is. Now, when you're a brother and you go into prison, yeah, there is racial things. They're going to stick with their own kind. It's just what it is. They're all human, but you're going to stick with your culture. You're going to stick with your people. Now, it's fragmented into groups, but you're still going to stick with your brothers, right? Northerners going to prison, they're Mexican, just like Southsiders are Mexican, just like paisas are Mexican, but they are separated by gang. It's a gang thing. Whites, stick with the whites, brother. And that's what they're going to do. If it ain't white, it ain't right. And so on and so forth. In that, you're going to see a lot of less racial tension. That is done for a reason. If there's no fraternizing, no communication, no kicking it, playing, horse playing, drinking together, doing drugs together, if there's none of that, the less association means less bumping of the heads, right? And with that, less drama. And in prison, one thing small can escalate to something big. So that was implemented way back in the days to create less friction, tension on the yard and everyone, because everyone has different thoughts, different feelings, different emotions, different ways of doing things, different swag, different, the whites like they like mayonnaise, brother said, we don't like mayonnaise, right? Motherfucking Northerners are like, say, what's up, cuz, right? What's up, lad, right? And then you got Southsiders like, damn, that's it, right? Now they're like, what's up, that's it, cuz, right? You got just a lot of different things going on. So there's that separation there. Now, in an SNY yard or a mixed yard, a yard that Tory Lanez was on where he got stabbed, there's none of that. Hey, run free, Birdie, run free. They're all running free. If you want to sell up a black and a Mexican, they're going to do that. Everyone, if they want to all play basketball together, they're going to do that. If they want to get their handballization on, they're going to do that. If they want to run up in someone's cell and do some wild shit, You guys go ahead and do that, Tory, right? It's whatever you want to do. But with that comes more drama. Because now, if you got a brother and a Mexican that are homies, like Santino was saying, him and Tory were, I don't know if that's the truth or not, right? Now you got conflict. Because still on those SNYR, still some of the brothers are going to kick it together in groups. Mexicans going to kick it together in groups. You know, you gravitate towards what you know and who you knew. And now if there's tension, it could escalate into some group tension. Now, of course, just like I said, there was not going to be no retaliation over there and fucking Tehachapi, black and brown over Tory Lanez getting stabbed. No, it was just simple. Whatever happened, happened. Man, the brothers ain't tripping off that shit, and the SAs ain't tripping. Mexicans ain't. They can give a fuck less. They're like, oh shit, he got stabbed. What's for dinner? You know what I mean? That's it. So all the people that were like, oh, it's gonna go down. No, it wasn't. Never was. Told you. Man, I could tell you how the prison shit goes. It's unfortunately, I hate to be the one to give you the game, but I could tell you. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to make the knife, but I'm going to tell you how they use it, right? It's like this. Tory Lanez is in a good place now. As far as politically and the way people look at it, he's over there with Danny Masterson. He's in there for Grape. Oh, he's in there with a whole bunch of weirdos. And he was already there on a different yard with them. He's just in a more softer yard where there's more of them now, where there's no tension. You could program, do your schooling, do whatever. No drama. And the administration, you know, the CDCR has basically made this yard, this as a Charmin yard, a pillow yard, very soft for reasons like this. Now, I knew ultimately once Tory Lanez was stabbed, this is where he would end up because this is probably the safest place to put him. That's just how it goes down, man. So from now here on out, he could focus on stop trying to act cool and be hardcore and run yards and kick it with the brother. Fuck all that. There's going to be some brothers over there he can chill with, play a little basketball, kick it, a little handball, right? Do his thing. You know, his best bet is to stay away from Danny Masterson and the Funky Bunch. Because if he's over there with fucking Danny Masterson, then he's going to get that 70 showed. You know? Believe me, Danny Masterson, from what I hear, he's the shot caller of the GBGs. He's over there running around like, get him, right? So he's not going to Tory Lanez's yard. Tory Lanez is going to Danny Masterson's yard. You know? They're probably going to be cool. They got a lot in common as far as Hollywood and probably knowing some of the same people in the same circles. Like, hey, I know Jamie Foxx. You boned Jamie Foxx. I didn't bone him, but I wanted to. Do you know me? Yeah, boom. There you go. I remember that one time I had him. He was like Ray. He was just fucking shit. So they know a lot of stuff because, you know, the Hollywood circles and all that. Tory Lanez is going to be just fine. But anyways, for those of you that don't know, Tory Lanez did pull up to CMC. He is on the same exact yard as Danny Masterson. And that seems to be the theme. Seems like you go to reception, you get assaulted. You know, these guys are stars too. And they get put on the SNY yards, they get put on the soft yards. But Danny Masterson didn't have no choice. He went on the motherfucker because he was in on the sexual case. Period. You know where you're going. Tory Lanez was not, but a lot of people, from what I'm hearing, are saying, oh, they just placed him in SNY because no, he chose to. He chose to go. He was asked. They didn't just place him there. He was asked, you know, what kind of yard do you go to? And that's where he went. But no one's going to keep that energy because they're like, oh, he's not a gang member. It don't matter. You know, it is what it is. He's over there on the same yard with a whole bunch of wild, you know, like I said, fucking Danny Masterson and the Funky Bunches. So it is what it is. But he is in CMC now, and he'll be all right. He has a key to his cell. They actually have keys to their cell over there. He can lock his shit up, make sure no one stabs him in there. And again, like I said, that bullshit is not going to follow him. You're not going to have Mexicans over there. Oh, you fucking talk shit to him. You know what I mean? There's nothing like that. And the SNY yards usually, unless you're a gang member, and that shit will follow you if you choose to do that, be a dropout gang member, right? That will follow you because that's your guys' politics. That's your thing. But because he was not an affiliate, because he's a brother man, he got stabbed, his status as a star, all that, like, man, he's going to go to this yard and everyone's just going to be feeling bad for him. Like, damn, bro, did it hurt? Did it hurt? He'd be like, hell yeah, it hurt. Did you hear me screaming on that tape? Help! Guard! He was yelling for guard. Man, he was yelling for guard louder than I could yell for guard. He was really yelling for the guard. Anyways, with that being said, he's over there chilling with Danny Masterson. Will they sell up? Because I know people are going to be like, are they going to, hey, you're going to have Jumpsuit Pablo, the assassin. I just heard that Danny Masterson and Tory Lanez are sold up together. Probably not. They're probably not, but they will be going to chow together. That's a fact. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive for what I truly believe in. And of course, that's the betterment of all people. He's over there. We're like, hey, what's up, Danny? Danny's like, don't talk to me. I run this yard. You're just Tory Lanez. I don't give a fuck. You're in here for shooting a girl on the pinky toe. You're in here for, I didn't do it. It was the Scientologist. They're gone.